All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a viral story that took a wild, unexpected turn, somehow connecting the whole Jeffrey Epstein scandal to a local New York politician. Yeah, you heard that right. So we're going to break down exactly how this story got built piece by piece. So it all kicked off with this one question, right? What if Jeffrey Epstein is Zohran Mamdani's father? Now, the video we're looking at, they don't present this as fact. Oh no, they present it as the starting point, the beginning of the rabbit hole they're about to jump down, a story they say is just full of these really strange connections.
Okay, but before we even get to the politician, we've got to set the stage. You need to understand the context here. The video frames the release of the Epstein files as this massive, highly political showdown. And honestly, this political angle, it's the absolute key to understanding their entire argument.
And right away, the argument they're making is that this was a huge political miscalculation. The claim is pretty straightforward. Democrats were supposedly hoping these files would seriously damage their opponents, but instead, it just boomeranged. It came right back around and started implicating figures on their own side.
And to try and prove this point, the narrator zeroes in on one specific email from Jeffrey Epstein himself. They hold this quote up as the smoking gun, the definitive proof that all the attempts to find dirt on Trump in those files, well, they just came up totally empty.
Okay, and this is where the whole story just takes a massive left turn. I mean, with all these huge global figures involved, the video claims that the online conversation just suddenly pivoted to a name they were not expecting to see, Zohran Mamdani, a local politician from New York. Like, what? So you can feel the narrator in the video kind of playing up their confusion. Like, wait, why is this guy suddenly trending? It's presented as a complete mystery, something that just seems totally out of place with the massive international scale of the Epstein scandal.
And here it is. This is the spark. The video pinpoints this one online comment as the real origin of the whole theory. And you gotta notice the immediate shift here. The focus isn't really on Zohran Mamdani anymore. It moves straight to his mother, the filmmaker Mira Nair.
So naturally, the video zooms right in on this connection. It moves past all the online chatter and starts to lay out what it presents as the core evidence. And now it's focused entirely on Mamdani's mother. First things first, they have to establish who she is. And the key point they're making here is that she's not just some private citizen. Nope, she's a famous, acclaimed filmmaker, and, this is important for their argument, she was actively involved in her son's political campaign. Okay, and here is the first major piece of the puzzle they lay out. The claim is that an after-party for one of Nair's films happened at Ghislaine Maxwell's townhouse, and on the guest list, Jeffrey Epstein. This is really positioned as the central pillar of their entire argument. But the story doesn't just stop with that one connection. It introduces a whole second layer, presenting it as this coincidence that's just, well, it's just too strange to ignore, right? So then the video drops what's supposed to be this surprising detail from Mira Nair's past. And the goal here, you can tell, is to really deepen the mystery. They're suggesting this isn't just some one-off connection, but it's actually part of a much larger pattern. And by putting all these details side by side like this, it creates this really powerful visual suggestion. I mean, look at it. A shared last name, a connection to New York City, both linked to the same woman. The implication is crystal clear. What are the odds of that? And right here, the narrator just comes out and says it. They state their thesis loud and clear. I do not believe in coincidences. They're basically telling the audience, look, these two connections, one to Jeffrey Epstein at a party, the other to an ex-husband named Mitch Epstein, this is not just random chance. So after all that, what's the point? What's the ultimate takeaway here? Well, after laying out all these different connections, the video brings it all right back around to politics to deliver its final verdict. So here's the entire argument laid out, step by step. It starts with that political premise we talked about, then it adds the two claims about Mamdani's mother, and it just chains them all together to get to that final conclusion. The whole Epstein file release supposedly backfired on the left. And there it is. This is the final punchline of the video's entire story. After this whole winding detour through Zohran Mamdani's family tree and connections, the argument lands right back where it began, framing the entire event as a huge political win for Donald Trump. So we've just walked through how this one viral video built its case, right? It connected these dots. Some seem direct, some are presented as just coincidences to tell a really compelling political story. And it kind of leaves us with a bigger question, doesn't it? In a world where we're flooded with information, how do these cleverly constructed narratives actually shape what we end up believing?